the citadel of one of the oldest and richest cultures of language, literature, art, music, and social reform movements in southern India. We gather on this auspicious day of Eid to celebrate the constitutional values that this event denotes. The allotment by the state government of a unique 18th century heritage building to the southern bench of the Green Tribunal shows a deep regard for the constitutional values and the rule of law. The 2012 fire incident has not diminished the history of this 250-year-old Kalas palace. The constitutional culture of preserving and protecting the built-up heritage is reflected by the state's renovation project, completed on the basis of the best principles of conservation. Renovation has not culturally diminished the structure. It seems that no effort was spared to replicate the original materials and designs by seeking out workmen having construction skills of the period to which the building belongs. Putting the renovated structure to modern use has not dimmed its magnificence. Such caring regard for the heritage is a part of social justice, of which culture forms a part and which has been held by the Supreme Court to be a fundamental right of all persons under Article 21 of the Constitution. The heritage structure reflects India's constitutional identity of valuing and preserving our legacy of a composite culture in terms of Article 51A(f). The Kalas Mahal is really designed in the Moorish style, which was prevalent before the Indo-Saracen culture. Heritage buildings are living history of specific civilizations. These specific cultures are a fundamental right under Article 29 of the Constitution, which enables sections of citizens of India to preserve and protect their culture. The Kalas Mahal represents the architectural styles of southern Italy, North Africa, parts of Spain and Portugal, which then spread to Europe and the United States during the 18th and 19th centuries. Today, we celebrate the specific symbol of Moorish culture in India, which teaches us about the oneness of mankind and the environment in which it lives. History is a flow of cultures, just as the environment is a flow of air, water, and soil, and the elements which make human life possible. Both are indivisible commons that shape our common future on planet Earth. The rich building now occupied by the southern bench of the NGT represents a synthesis of Islamic design and Indian architecture, to make it really the first Indo-Saracenic building of modern Indian history, which began with the British rule of India. Accordingly, in recognition of the heritage of Kalas Mahal, we celebrate the constitutional duty to value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. While each section of citizens of India has a fundamental right to their culture under Article 29, all such particular cultures create a duty to value and preserve each of such cultures as a composite heritage. The particular survives in a composite, and the composite exists because of the particular culture or way of life which determines the environment itself. Human beings culturally shape their environment. The southern bench of the Green Tribunal, after shifting from its rented premises to its own rooms in Kalas Mahal, represents the rule of law. in relation to environment. If environment is the net result of the composite way of life, culture or heritage in Article 51AF, then the citizen's constitutional duty of protecting and improving the natural environment in Article 51AG, corresponding to the fundamental right to a healthy environment under Article 21, and the state's fundamental duty in Article 48A to protect and improve the environment, synthesized with the presence of the tribunal in this heritage building. Therefore, we celebrate today the union of two constitutional duties with two corresponding fundamental rights: the right to life and environment in Article 21, and the right to particular cultures of sections of citizens in Article 29. The green bench in the historic building, with the environmentally friendly input of e-filing to save paper, energy, trees, and time, that dovetails with the Supreme Court's national mission of digitization of and e-filing. A constitutional duty under Article 51AH that enables the citizen's fundamental right of access to justice under Article 21 of the Constitution. As the first permanent zonal bench of the NGT based in Chennai, the Southern Bench of NGT is responsible for ensuring environmental justice to the residents of 4 states of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, and the Union Territories of Lakshadweep. The health of a heritage building is an indicator of the environmental health of human beings. If an environment of corrosive air, water, and soil can eat up the stone of heritage buildings, then imagine what it can do to humans. It is a matter of immense joy that the use of the past for the present, to live with and not against nature, has given us the opportunity to savor today this communion of constitutional rights and duties: culture and environment, rule of law, and environment justice. The Green Tribunal in the heritage building can only remind us of the steady loss of our practices inherited over generations that ensured clean air, water, soil as a secular good for all. Let us remind ourselves that degrading inequality of access to resources, skills, and opportunities degrades the physical environment itself. An economic development that gives smart cities to a few and slums to many violate our tradition of compassionate coexistence of communities in secular harmony and peace with elements. As we lose these traditions of preserving the environment, we become inheritors of the loss. In an evidence-based world of measurable objectivity, the presence of a green bench in a heritage buildings makes minimizing the loss of heritage possible and the continued protection of heritage probable. The sine qua non for a healthy and safe environment is a culture or a way of life that yields it. In this context, it is worthwhile remembering that even as we are mesmerized by the e-world, there is a massive national and international problem of e-waste. While the infrastructure and the e-filing is provided to the Southern Bench, it is also essential that the needs of adequate manpower and infrastructure be taken care of. In the two benches of the Southern Bench of the tribunal, the second bench still awaits an expert member. A multidisciplinary tribunal functions on the ethos of convergence of judicial and technical expertise. By keeping vacant the post of technical member, the burden on the judicial member is increased concerning an area of special knowledge. To that extent, the functioning of the tribunal and the rule of law gets handicapped. This also diminishes the fundamental right of access to justice and impedes the journey to secure a healthy and safe environment for all. I mentioned this because I learned that the Madras High Court, by an order, has transferred more than 1 lakh claim petitions pending before the loss of ecology authority to the southern bench. But there is no corresponding provision of increased manpower and infrastructure to deal with this. With posts lying vacant, justicing and upholding environmental rule of law will become a trying and testing effort. It is imperative to act positively to further the constitutional value of fundamental right of access to justice and healthy environment. But then they say, the mills of God grind slowly but surely. The question is over how much of time. Smart cities can become deserts without the oversight and benediction of the NGT's benches, especially its exemplar, the Southern Bench. Ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude by saying that in Khalsa Mahal's revival, while the entire nation sees the reclamation of its glorious history, the people of the southern states see an entity that swears allegiance to safeguard justice in the air, land, and water. There could not have been a more befitting structure than the Mahal to host the NGT bench. Its revitalization and repurposing to house an environment tribunal itself is symbolic. It is a manifestation of sustainable development, an eternal verity that is the soul and guiding voice, both for a body like the NGT that is forever committed to ensuring environmental justice for all. I can proudly say that the answers that we have set out to look for in Stockholm, in Rio de Janeiro, in Kyoto, and in Paris are not as far as they seem to be away once upon a time. While there are miles to go, today we pledge to inch closer. The scarlet bricks of the Khalsa Mahal and its majestic dome bear testimony to it. With these hopes, I once again convey my best wishes to the NGT, especially the Southern Bench, on this occasion as it opens a new chapter. I wish it best of luck for all its endeavors. Thank you, and particularly now, thank you, the Nawab of Alkot, for being a part of history.